They send the big guy, Jonathan Williams, into the end zone for a touchdown. Makes a man miss. Williams, touchdown. It's very depressing for a defense just to get hit in the mouth time after time. Cuts it outside. 10-5, touchdown. Dives for the goal line, touchdown. Touchdown on the scramble, Brandon Allen to the 5, to the goal line, touchdown. Alex Collins on the draw, breaks through tacklers, and he's off to the races. 30, 20, 10, slows up, and got the touchdown anyway. They are just starting to swallow up the Texas Tech defensive line, and they're running wherever and whenever they want.
It was incredible Saturday for Arkansas. Throwing the ball, by the way, they had just 61 passing yards. That number is 7 less than the total number of rush attempts. They ran it 68 times on Saturday. 40 of their rushes went for at least 5 yards. The head coach, Brett Bielema, on Monday, reminding everybody he never said a turnaround here would be easy.
I knew coming here what I was getting into, whether it's to the extent or whatever. I freely took that opportunity. It's something I made a decision to do. The people that didn't willingly go into it were fans, were players, people that were part of this process, not by their own choice or really their own decisions. You know, when I made the opportunity or made the decision to come here, I really did look at the fact that the players I thought would really buy into the fact that they really weren't a part of what maybe caused this initial reaction. You know, obviously the reaction or the actions of one man kind of spiraled that first thing. And yes, then they're all a part of it, but I guess to go where I'm going with it, it's fun to see, you know, to fly back on that plane and to watch my coaches and our players and have an understanding of what you really just saw and witnessed was the results of what we have done. You know, I talk about our fifth Arkansas edge to be that you earn everything. I mean, you really felt, and you could see it in our players' eyes, that they really felt they earned that by what they had done and what they had accomplished. I know you guys think I'm throwing out coach speak and rhetoric. I saw things coming. I mean, I know what we're doing. I know how we need to do it. I know the way that we have to do it. But I tell you what, last night I was driving home, and I always listen to Sirius XM college football radio just because it's always got football on, you know, and if it's not during the summer and I'm in my Jeep and I got tunes going, I'm usually listening to that. And I'm driving home last night, and obviously it's a delayed broadcast because it's late evening, and they got on Russ from Fayetteville. I don't know who Russ from Fayetteville is, but he was awesome. It was just awesome. It was to hear. You know, I've been listening now to that show for a year and a half, and I'm not saying we're on the stage yet or anything like that, but to have something, to have that, and you know, I actually sat in my car and waited for it to get done because I enjoyed listening to it, and they were having some fun with it, and so I turned my car off, and I get up early this morning, and I pop on my car, and literally I'm pulling out, and it's another guy from Fayetteville. I don't know who it was, but it was a Hog fan, and he was whooping at very early hour this morning, and to have that go to bed and have it wake up, and to have that be a part of what's going on, I mean, that was kind of cool. I think I'm being mislabeled. Okay, this goes way back to Wisconsin, all right? Before I was even coaching there was a guy by the name of Ron Dane. He ran the ball a lot. He was one of the leading rushers in college football. So when I took over Coach Alvarez, everybody wanted me to be, you know, Barry Alvarez, and wanted me to, you know, find the next Ron Dane. Well, we effectively did that a lot, more than not. But our most productive teams, if you go back and look at the history of my coaching career, was when we had a balance between a 220, somewhere in that 200 to 220 yard rushing and throwing team. It's an incredible mark. I believe you win over 85% of college football games if you can get above 215 throwing and passing over the course of time. And if you just look at that statistic, it's something I really, really believe in. Now, I do believe this, Tom, for us to do what we did at Texas Tech, that was the formula. That was the formula that we needed to win on the road against an up-tempo offense that could score the way they could score. That formula isn't going to work this week. I've been referring to it as the best-kept secret in Fayetteville. I mean, I think statistically, I know the numbers may not be there on par with what pure just quantitative totals, but the percentage. I always look for efficiency. I don't really I don't really care about numbers. I love the fact we ran the ball 68 times, but if we didn't run the ball 68 times efficiently, we wouldn't have won the game. To me, the efficiency is the equation, and our passing efficiency is very, very good. I thought both of them showed great condition. You know, we nominated both of them for SEC MVP. I couldn't. How do you decide? Jay Will had 4 touchdowns. Alex had 2, but he had 211. He had 150. It's a great decision. I said, let the SEC decide that.
Well, they did, and it was Alex Collins that got the Offensive Player of the Week. Oh, but Jonathan Williams gets something better. He gets to be on our show coming up in a little bit.
Perfect.
So, see, there you go. What is the most impressive part? I'll start with the big lineman who's paved the way, right? The most impressive part of Arkansas's running attack.
Well, you don't want to say that it's plain, but there's not a ton of ball handling going on. Obviously, you're not overly concerned with the pass, although that secret, I'm sure, is going to be unleashed on all of us at some point in time, the passing attack. But in the meantime, the idea that defenses know what you're doing, I mean, once you've run it over 50 times, there's probably a good chance you're going to run it about 18 more times. And the fact that they're still not able to slow that thing down, that there's not a running quarterback, so you're not splitting your defense. You don't have 2 ball carriers in the backfield. Basically, it's we're going to line up and we're going to run the football at your defensive front, and we're going to ask you to stop us with your defensive front. And if you'd like to borrow from your secondary, why don't you go ahead and do that? Because we're not going to throw it more than 19 times a game so far. The fact that they've had that success, and it's not all against Nicholls State. You know, they did this versus an Auburn defense. They did it versus Texas Tech from a Power 5 conference. That's what's impressive to me, Coach, is that you know what they're going to do, you can see what they're going to do, and then they do it, and it still works.
Well, there's nothing, I'm going to speak from a defensive perspective, because there's nothing more demoralizing than being able to line up against a team. They're telling you they're going to run it, and you can't stop it. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing more demoralizing to a defense. But I will say this. I was glad to hear in his press conference today that he's not cavalier about it. You know, he understands that he can't do that every game. Yeah. This particular game, that was the formula to win. They outweighed Texas Tech's defensive line by probably 50 pounds a man. So he did what he had to do to win. The only concern that I would have going forward is that Brandon Allen has thrown 17 passes in 2 weeks. Yeah. And when you have issues with timing and routes and chemistry, you got to worry about that. 3 receivers caught balls Saturday. They're going to have to throw the ball in this league, because this running the football down your throat is not new to the SEC.
You mentioned nothing is more demoralizing than. I'm going to throw out one possible thing.
Oh, yeah.
Watch what Dan Skipper, 6'10" tackle for Arkansas, right there, does to this poor Raider. One arm, get out of here.
Go to sleep.
That'll hurt your feelings.
Another look. Yeah.
You know what? And what he's saying is, I tripped. I tripped a little.
That's what it was.
It's a bad seam on the turf right there.
Yeah. There is legitimate concern, though, with the unshown passing attack. He says it's the best kept secret in Fayetteville. We'll see at some point.
Eventually, you got to let it out. You're going to have to let it out of just Fayetteville. Yeah. And Coach is right. I think right now they're enjoying one of the shortest third and yardage situations that you can find, about 3rd and 5 and change. So you're still somewhat manageable at that point, Coach. They're getting off on 1st and 2nd down. Hey, good for you. But eventually, when you start lining up against a more stout defensive fronts that are going to actually challenge you, fronts that can play out wide and borrow from secondary, and it means something, I think at that point in time, you better have some level of threat in the other element of your offense, because as much as I like it, as much as it is literally hog heaven for an offensive lineman to do what they're doing right now, you realize you can't do that every single time. These running backs are going to realize very shortly that they can't just get the ball every single time. At some point, you're going to have to stretch a defense and complete some balls over their head.
Chemistry is not the same in practice as it is in a game. And if you don't have the chemistry with the wideouts and the quarterback, and again, the only way you can get that, you have to get it by throwing the ball more than 17 times in 2 games. Yeah. And that would, again, be my worry. The bottom line is, in practice, it may look great, but he's got young receivers out there, and he's got a quarterback that you could still say is a young guy. Yeah. I mean, what's he really proven right now throwing the ball?
He hasn't been a 50% passer in his career.
That is correct.
Yeah, coming in.
So, the running game is well noted, and every accolade they're getting right now, they deserve it, because they're mauling people. But that can't continue in this league.
All right, a bit later, in SEC now. As I said, we'll go one-on-one with Arkansas's tailback, Jonathan Williams. He had 4 rushing touchdowns. We'll ask him what Brett Bielema said after the game to his team. And why not ask him what he thinks of his team's passing game, all that. You saw Arkansas run wild Saturday at Texas Tech, 438 yards on the ground, 7 touchdowns. Jonathan Williams had 4 of those touchdowns, along with 145 yards on his 22 carries. Williams has gone for 288 yards on the ground in his last 2 games. What does that mean? Well, it means he leads the conference in yards per rush and rushing touchdowns. That also means, yes, he has more of each than Todd Gurley and more than teammate Alex Collins. Williams, in fact, has more rushing touchdowns than 72 FBS teams have this season. The junior tailback, Jonathan Williams, joins us right now from Fayetteville. And you guys were phenomenal running the football against Texas Tech. But in general, Jonathan, a win on the road against a Power 5 team after the struggles you'd faced last season. What did this win mean for your program?
It means a lot to us. Like you said, we struggled last season, and we're still a team that came into this season with a lot of confidence. Going on the road and being able to beat Texas Tech gave us a lot of confidence, and it just heightened it.
Would have loved to have been in that locker room when it was over. What did Brett Bielema say to you guys?
He just told us to keep doing us. He didn't want us to go out there and try to be anybody else but ourselves. We had a hard week of practice, a great week of practice, and we were ready for the game.
You had not, despite the great career you've had at Arkansas, had not had more than 1 rushing touchdown in a game. You had 4. How will you personally remember Saturday?
I'm gonna remember as a great team victory first and foremost. I wouldn't have been able to do that without my offensive linemen and my receivers blocking downfield, and I just give all the credit to the Lord.
Your line is huge. Your offensive line that you get to run behind. How do you describe your team's ability to run the football?
Those guys up front are the main reason why. Me and Alex, we get a lot of the praise, but those guys up front, they work hard day in and day out. We have great receivers blocking downfield to be able to help us bring those long runs, and having a great running game is a team effort. No matter how good you are at running back, it's definitely a team effort.
And you and Alex are just phenomenal to watch. I love the fact that you could be number ones on any team in this country, and you still get all your carries because you carry the ball so many times. How do you describe the relationship that you guys have? And Corliss, too, I know, but we didn't see quite as much of him. How do you describe you and Alex together?
A great relationship, fun relationship, and you can see us on the sidelines out there having fun. When he broke his big run, me and him are out there on the sideline having fun and laughing it up. So, we're a 1-2 punch. When one of us is tired, the other one is ready to go, and when the other one's tired, the other one's ready to go. So, we feed off of each other.
I don't know. I know you guys are all about team, and I don't know if you knew or had heard yet, but Alex was actually named the Offensive Player of the Week in the SEC for his 212-yard game. If you didn't know that, what's your message to him? And if you didn't know that, what'd you tell him?
I didn't know that, but when I see him, I'm going to mess with him. I'm going to tell him that I'm coming for it next week.
Next week, of course, you guys get Northern Illinois. People watch your football team, and we're all amazed at the way you're able to run the ball. That's what he wanted to do when he came. We all know that was Brett Bielema. The question is that people have now, Jonathan, is can you throw the ball well enough when you're going to have to? Because in this league, you're going to have to. What's the response?
Exactly. We know that we're going to have to throw the ball, and right now, we're running the ball because if it's not broke, you don't fix it. But, we definitely have that capability of throwing the ball. Brandon has definitely improved his throwing ability. And, like I said, not only can the receivers on the outside block and run block down the field, but they can also catch as well. So, throughout the season, you'll see more of that.
I think it was Brett Bielema who earlier on the day said in a news conference or something that our ability to throw the ball is the best kept secret in Fayetteville. Is that accurate?
That's definitely accurate. That's 100% accurate. And like I said, you'll see it farther along down the season. Right now, we're running the ball because, it's working for us. But, we definitely have that the ability to throw the football as well.
Jonathan, we see so many of the spread attacks and the no-huddle type attacks in this conference. Yours is not one of them. I can imagine that the defenses that play with the no-huddles probably get a little bit exhausted by always having to go back in the game after a short rest. You guys give your defense some breaks now, the way you run the football. What do they tell you guys?
we try to help the defense out. We try to play defense by keeping the ball and having the time of possession as well. And, the more well-rested our defense is, the better that they can be out there and the better that they can help our team. I think we had a drive against Texas Tech where, we had the ball for 9 minutes straight at the end of the game. So, I feel like that was great defense by us as well. So we try to help our defense out as much as we can.
Yeah, there's no question. We love watching you guys. It's a fun football team to watch, and we hope for continued success for you and the Razorbacks. Jonathan, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
How about those Razorbacks running wild last week at Texas Tech to the tune of 438 yards? Jonathan Williams had a career-best 4 touchdown runs to go along with his 145 yards. Williams has run for 288 yards in his last 2 games. His teammate, Alex Collins, ran for a career-high 212 in the game and a couple of touchdowns, on his way to being named the SEC's Offensive Player of the Week. Between Collins, Williams, and quarterback Brandon Allen, the Hogs ran for 7 touchdowns last week. They've run for 14 this season. That matches the number they ran for all of last season. So they welcome in Northern Illinois on Saturday. Oh, by the way, the Huskies have a 17-game winning streak. That's on the road. That's the longest in the country, 17-game road win streak. 2 teams that like to run the ball. Arkansas, 7th nationally. Arkansas, 2nd nationally. NIU is 7th. What was the biggest key to Arkansas being able to run at will against the Red Raiders last week?
Well, I think it really came down to the way they communicated up front on the road in a difficult environment. People can say whatever they want about the Big 12, but they do have some pretty rowdy student sections. Texas Tech being one. We all found out how difficult it was for Auburn to go on the road last night and play against Kansas State. But you also have to realize that Mitch Smothers, a first-year starting center, the way he communicates across the entire offensive line, that's so important and so important to this offensive success. Because in order to run the ball, you have to have 11 matchups that you win. In order to throw the ball, you just have to win 1, Boog.
I think for me, it's the commitment from the coaching staff. No matter what defensive look you get, no matter how many guys you have in the box, we are going to run the football. And let's not forget, guys, the offensive line. When you rush for over 400 yards, you got to give a shout out to the big fellas up front. So I think it was a combination of commitment from the coaches and the offensive line up front.
How does what they did in Lubbock against a smallish defensive line translate to what they could do against better SEC defenses running the ball?
Well, I think it'll be better and maybe easier for them, but it still comes down to Brandon Allen. When you go against a good SEC defense, they're going to dare you to throw the football. And we know Arkansas can run it, but can they throw it when they get favorable matchups on the outside? Dart, you're going to get one-on-one coverage a lot against 8-man boxes. It's key for Brandon Allen with the ability to beat one-on-one coverage.
There's no question about that. I mean, Brandon Allen's been a lot better this year. When you look at the way he's produced off play action, going into last week, 14 of 16 with 6 touchdowns off that type of run action footwork. All those things have been really important to their success, but really more than anything else to me, it gives this group confidence. They now know that they can contend against some of the big boys. They know that they can go on the road and beat a good football team. Texas Tech's going to beat some teams in the Big 12 this year that are contenders. So I think more than anything else, you have to feel good if you're a Razorback fan because of the confidence gained by your football team.
Last year's team started 3-0, lost their last 9. How do you compare this year's team to that one?
Well, I think they're considerably better. And the reason why, I have to point at the quarterback, Brandon Allen. Yeah, I know he hasn't had to necessarily throw the ball a ton, but the threat of him being able to throw it means more than anything. So I think this week, when they're going into this game plan, maybe they'll rely on the pass just a little bit more because you want to put it on tape for when you play the Aggies in the following week. If you have it on tape and you have the threat of throwing the football, that can make a huge difference in the way defenses scheme and game plan against you.
You know, last year they played Louisiana Lafayette and Southern Miss 2 out of their first 3 games. Considerably easier opponents. This year, Auburn, and you play Texas Tech. I think they're a better team this year because they face stiffer competition. The record may not say it, 2-1 versus 3-0, but when you play better competition, when you go against Auburn and you arguably are in that game in the second half, and you beat a Power 5 conference team like Texas Tech, they are a better team because of the competition that they faced.
And you know what? There were signs last year of improvement. I know they had a tough 3-game stretch against Alabama and Auburn, and they didn't look good against South Carolina, but in the last couple games, overtime loss to Mississippi State, and then a loss where they had LSU on the ropes. There were signs last year. Now I think things are starting to come together for them.
Yeah, Brett Bielema certainly hopes so. This is the first time in a long time, though, that state's been really buzzing in a good way about that football team. After running for by the way, good bold predictions. After running for 438 against Texas Tech, the Razorbacks are back home to face Northern Illinois, while the Hogs are second in the nation in rushing. NIU is 7th. By the way, again, the Huskies have the nation's longest road winning streak. They've won 17 straight road games. Bold prediction, Arkansas.
Arkansas defense had only 8 interceptions in 2013. This year so far, they have 3. My bold prediction, the Hogs get 3 interceptions in this game. That's bold.
Does NIU throw the ball in?
That's what I was.
Well,
is NIU going to have 3 attempts in the air?
Well, they're going to throw it, and when they throw it, they're not going to throw it very well. I think that's what I can surmise out of that.
Very fair.
Okay.
Very
That's
fair.
bold.
Bold, I like it.
Yep.
My bold prediction requires a little bit more detail. Brandon Allen will have less than 12 attempts throwing the football, but have 2 passing touchdowns. So there's a couple bold predictions there. One, I think this is a tendency breaker game. Clearly in the red zone, they've been able to run the ball with anybody. They had 7 touchdowns on the ground in Lubbock a week ago. So I think they're going to try to break their red zone tendencies and throw the ball. But I don't think Brandon Allen's going to play long enough to be able to accrue 12 attempts.
I want to see this best kept secret in Fayetteville, the Arkansas pass game. You don't think he's going to play long enough? Give NIU some credit. It's not a bad football team.
I think this Arkansas football team is much better.
Okay.
There's
All 7 SEC West teams are in the top 22 of ESPN's College Football Power Index. Arkansas is now 22nd. Think about that. That's
incredible.
How deep the division is. Arkansas was winless last year. Auburn is number 2 in the FPI. Florida State, of course, number 1. We're going to have more and discuss the impact that Jameis Winston not playing tonight against Clemson could have on the college football playoff and the SEC.
This is just Smash Mouth football. It's the way we like to play.
They are just starting to swallow up the Texas Tech defensive line, and they're running wherever and whenever they want.
I never knew that a kid like me could take his mic around the world and flash the SEC and rock the masses.
Having a great running game is a team effort. You know, no matter how good you are at running back. Me and Alex, we get a lot of the praise, but those guys up front, they work hard day in and day out.
I personally enjoy running the ball a little bit more. I think most O-linemen do. It's fun to be able to kind of knock kids out of the way.
Nominated both of them for SEC MVP. I couldn't. How do you decide?
Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. Is that all you got?
It was nice to be able to kind of do our job, look up and see him just sprinting down the sideline. It's an awesome feeling.
Here comes the boom. Ready or not, babe. Here comes the boys from the south.
We're running the ball because if it's not broke, you don't fix it.
All 3 of you predicted Arkansas would run all over Texas Tech, and they did. A winless SEC team from last year against the Holiday Bowl champs. They went in there and did this. They ran the ball on 68 of its 80 plays, had the ball twice as long as Texas Tech. Is the Arkansas run attack, though, Marcus, going to work week in and week out in the SEC?
You can dominate games with the run game, and you can eliminate offensive times with the ball. And sometimes your offense is your best defense. That's the strength for Arkansas. But in order for Arkansas to win in the SEC, they're going to have to make explosive plays. They're going to have to get downfield in a hurry at times, and I'm still waiting to see that.
Well, I agree with you. I think this rushing attack is going to let them compete in a lot of games. I think for them to have a shot at winning some of these big games versus these really good teams and Alabama's and Texas A&M's and Auburn's, Brandon Allen has to make a few more plays with his arm. But I was impressed with his athleticism versus Texas Tech because he made a few plays versus blitz zeros, making some people miss for 1 touchdown and a few other first downs. And that impressed me. I think this kid has the talent to do it. Let's just see if they actually get it done.
Paul, we often talk about conference supremacy. In fact, some people publish books and charge $22.95 detailing conference supremacy. This probably speaks volumes more than anything. Forget Auburn and Alabama at the top. We know what they do against the rest of the country. When Arkansas does that on the road against a decent Big 12 team,
Yeah, I think it was very significant. And we're all propping up Kentucky because they lost in the Swamp, but Arkansas was the story last week, Joe, and everyone who's now going to Fayetteville, Alabama's there in 3 weeks, they're going, ooh, I'm not sure about that. And I think that's what we took out of Lubbock Saturday.
And in talking to Gus Malzahn, he was saying how good this Arkansas team was. Like, what a competitive game that was, how hard it is to stop that run. And he was very impressed with them as well.
Listen, they're big, they're physical up front. This offensive line averages 320-plus pounds per guy. And these two running backs are some of the best in the country. When you have that, coupled with a defense that can get stops and 3 and outs at times, that's a dangerous football team.
Let's talk about Arkansas today and what they're in store for, because they go up against Northern Illinois. Of course, 17 straight road wins for Northern Illinois. Longest active streak in the country. Remember, this is a team that just a couple of years ago, Jordan Lynch, Heisman contender, Orange Bowl. They won at Northwestern earlier this month. They have a good run defense. They've only allowed one rush of 15 yards this season, so that's not a gimme today with 3-0 Northern Illinois against Arkansas. Let's go with our proposition formula for a few games. I like doing this with you guys. Northern Illinois is a good football program. They have depth. They're at Arkansas. Arkansas ran down Texas Tech's throat last week, nonstop. Percentage of running plays for Arkansas against Northern Illinois?
I think it's 70% of the time. I think it's only 70 because they're going to work on their passing game and try to hit some quick passes and some play actions to their tight ends.
I think it's 75%. I think they try to break the longest running rushing record in a single season ever.
I have to break the tie. You win at 76.
76%, okay.
Meanwhile, Brett Bielema and the Hogs up a big win in Lubbock. Jonathan Williams, Alex Collins getting strong O-line blocking. The simple MO, bully a MAC defense today. Williams is getting 10 yards to carry. NIU rides in with a 17-game win streak in road games, longest in the nation. This is their third straight road trip. That is never easy. Huskies also have a 27-game regular season win streak. They are 1-9 all-time against the SEC. But that one win came 11 years ago today in Tuscaloosa. Michael Turner ran through the Tide. So is that an omen?
No, it's not an omen. This isn't the MAC in the Big Ten. This is a different test for them because it's the SEC down on the road. But I do think Northern Illinois for 2.5 quarters is in that game because of the style of offense that Arkansas plays. But I just question in that heat and humidity with Brett Bielema, that big offensive line, these two running backs, I don't think Northern Illinois can hold up for 4 quarters. But they're going to be in this game because the DNA of Northern Illinois is eerily similar to Arkansas.
Right.
They just don't have the bodies to be able to hold up for 4 quarters.
And they don't have Jordan Lynch anymore either.
Right.
He's not walking through that tunnel. And you mentioned LSU and how they're going to just pound the ball. Well, that's Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
That's Arkansas, too. They're going to do the same thing in Northern Illinois. Last week against Coach Handsome and the Red Raiders, they just punished them with the running game. It was like it should have been a mercy rule. So that's Brett Bielema's style of play. That's how he was at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The big nasties up front, 2 very talented running backs behind the quarterback.
Yeah.
He's going to punish Northern Illinois again. That's what he's going to do.
You never miss an opportunity to give Kingsbury. Yeah, I wonder what he thinks of this outfit today. It all goes back to his criticism of your dressing, and you never let that go.
Well, that's his thing, though. He's Coach Harris, he's the handsome guy, right?
But they did get beat down by the Hogs.
They beat them down bad.
I can't wait for the SEC season to begin in earnest. So Tigers at the Gamecocks next week. Let's do it.
Well, I think A&M is going to get challenged by this Arkansas team next week, which will be fun to watch because it was 30 straight runs for Arkansas last week against A&M. 30 straight runs. There was no secret. There was no bones about it.
Here we come. Bam! What do you giggle on the upstairs?
Fitting.
Oh, okay.
What are you Fitting's talking about my man here. Right back to football. Let's break it down. My bad.
He's also those games where you go to the trainer like on Wednesday morning, you just say, I'm going to need more time in the ice bath come Sunday morning. Josh Orn to kick off. Corliss Marshall, Keon Hatcher deep for Arkansas. Marshall from the 3. Marshall across the 30, gets a block. He can fly. Corliss Marshall has the 20, the 10, and what a start for the Razorbacks. has a 7-0 lead.
You can see number 4, Keon Hatcher, gets up inside, but he really doesn't have many people to block. He's looking up the kicker right there. But it was very well taken care of, and Marshall starts this game off in a huge way. We talk so much about the...
Joel Buonio, nowhere to go, taken down by Trey Flowers, the SEC's active leader in tackles for loss. On the ground again, Stingley to the perimeter, and he's tackled for no gain. Arkansas football. And Collins, surprise, surprise, gets the call on first down. He attacks the edge, gets the corner, and taken down after a gain of 12. It's an Arkansas first down, tackled by Deshaun Durant.
It's what Brandon Allen does best. Play action on the lead draw, and then it's just a 3-receiver route, which means you have max protection with the tight end kept in.
Air rolling out, chased, takes a big hit at the 15-yard line from Martrell Spate. Air throws, that is incomplete. Reskusen couldn't hold on. Good coverage that time. Again, Buonio goes in motion. Hare under pressure. The ball comes loose. Arkansas picks it up, a scoop and a score. Darius Philon, and it's 13-0 Razorbacks.
Has been extremely successful early in this season, getting pressure and third down pass downs like you see right there. And Trey Flowers, once again, the stunt up inside. They play games up front. Flowers is right here, is going to go inside, and Philon is out here, and he's actually going to run outside. And they meet at the quarterback. One hits the quarterback, knocks the ball loose, and then Flowers is there to clean up right there. Games up inside with very athletic, powerful defensive lineman line of scrimmage early in this one.
3rd and long again for NIU. Screen pass. Arkansas sniffs it out. Buonio tackled right at the line of scrimmage, and it's 4th down. Allen here will throw over the middle, and that is caught for a first down by Cody Hollister. This week. Toss to Williams. Little shake and bake across midfield into Northern Illinois territory. Watch that left side, number 76, Dan Skipper. And Skipper with a big block, and that frees up Allen, who gets a first down. Back to the ground, back to Williams. Cuts it back inside, breaks the tackle, and he's in for 6.
And Dan Skipper had a tremendous block from his left tackle position. You can see him right there. Just muscled up. He mauls people and just pancakes him to the ground. And he highlights what Brett Bielema wants to do at the line of scrimmage. You can see right there, that's called a pancake on number 49, Jason Meehan. And then Williams does the smart thing and gets up behind him. You have to have the right attitude. It's not just knocking the guy to the ground, but you have to have a little nasty to you. Enjoy what you're
21-zip, Razorbacks.
Guys out of the box.
Back to the air. Dangerous pass broken up by Collins in the direction. 2nd and 6 for Arkansas. Marlon Moore with the stop.
You got to find a way to get off the field.
Here's the blitz. Allen. And that's caught by Henry, and he shows why he was an all-SEC tight end a year ago.
The ball is off the body, but the tight end is inside. But the way this massive offensive line hits their landmark, that's impressive.
Collins gets a few blocks, runs into the referee, and the stripes may have prevented a touchdown there. Collins had a lane.
I think you're exactly right. And the speed to bounce it right here. Good vision. We talked about the patience. You can see the guys up front getting on their landmarks, and then the quickness to get out.
Right tackle Bray Cook yesterday. He said there's a lot of synergy up front and with the running backs. Play action out of the eye. Allen's got a wide open Hatcher, and he skates out of bounds near midfield. It's a gain of 14. On 3rd and 3, play action again. Out of the backfield, and that is caught by A.J. Derby. Brett Bielema told us. Allen throwing near sideline, and that's the other tight end, Hunter Henry, who was second-team All-SEC last year. And so he's a playmaker back there. NIU bringing pressure again. Allen's pass caught by Hatcher, and he's out of bounds in Columbia. Mizzou, the defending SEC East champion. Allen flushed, chased by Meehan. Throws in the end zone, touchdown, Cornelius.
The one thing that impresses me about Brandon Allen right now is the timely feet. His accuracy has gone up because his understanding has gone up, but timely feet. He gets outside the pocket, avoids pressure a lot. We can see right here, going through his progression, and now I have a reason to escape. Don't get out prematurely and extend the play. If I have a throw, which he does right there, take advantage of it. But remember, he was learning a new system last year. Late and inside. That could have been a big, big play for NIU defensively.
First 3 and out for Arkansas since week 1 against Auburn. There's Chad Beebe. And he gets mauled at the 14-yard line.
Well, Beebe does a great job of hanging on to this, but not a great job of diagnosing where the traffic is coming from. He has his dad's speed, but he also has his dad's toughness.
Maybe looking for a spark. Maddie will keep it on the read option. And he's tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Flowers
like that idea.
Maddie, the Western Michigan transfer, gets right back to the line of scrimmage. Tougher from here for Arkansas. Allen on 3rd down, pass over the middle, and that's caught. Cody Hollister, a gain of 16, it's a first down. Allen again with time, wants Hatcher. And Keon Hatcher are able to haul it in for another first down. So give Brandon Allen credit.
And watch him drive the ball as Hatcher goes to the corner, and Derby, the tight end, had gone to the flat out of that bunch formation, which they can sweep.
There's Williams on the big right side, takes it up the middle, gets inside the 10-yard line, a gain of 8 yards. There's Collins. Well, he went the other way. And everybody, including the cameraman, fooled. And Brandon Allen goes in for the score. I mean, nobody saw you had the ball.
Almost unfair because the defense has to sell out against the run. Very, very good ball handling by Brandon.
That's the last play you're expecting, right?
Oh,
Naked bootleg?
absolutely. That's why it looks like that. You have to sell out against the run down deep like that.
Joel Buonio right back to the line of scrimmage. Drew Weedle, it's a fake punt. And Arkansas stops him shy of the first down marker. Turnover on downs.
Everything in order on the line of scrimmage.
Allen, plenty of time off the play action. That's caught near sideline Kendrick Edwards. Looks like we got a bit of a wildcat look as Allen is split wide. Direct snap to Collins. He picks up a first down, gets a great block. 21-yard field goal attempt for John Henson, a former walk-on who was put on scholarship before the season. Makes it 38-7. The Razorbacks in full control. That's not a guy you want coming at you at full speed.
He knows how to finish a run, no doubt.
Stingley again. And He's tackled in the backfield by Martrell Spate. Blueprint for this program was Joe Novak. Novak was succeeded by Jerry Kill. Novak had retired. Wide open, Keon Hatcher downfield. And Arkansas caught NIU napping again with that play-action pass.
Well, Anish, I think NIU's defense was thinking the same thing we were. Run out the clock. And the play-action pass and the really good throw once again on a wide-open receiver and Hatch. Drew Harris certainly getting most of the snaps. So this is valuable time for him as well. The more snaps, the more reps, the better for number 12.
Nearly intercepted. Broken up by Tevin Mitchell. He was right there along with Turner.
It's one thing to have a strategy. It's another thing to be executing it the way Arkansas is beginning to this season.
We're starting to see Brett Bielema's vision come together as Sprinkle makes the catch.
Up on the offensive line of scrimmage as well. Another year together, and that moves up light years again.
There's Corliss Marshall. He took a kickoff back for a touchdown, and there's that blazing speed again.
And we haven't even mentioned Corliss Marshall and what he brings to the table. You have Williams, that is a difficult guy to get to the ground and physical guy, but number 33, Corliss Marshall, he's a speed guy. We saw taking the opening kickoff back all the way, and he can bounce it and hit a home run.
On these non-conference games, nice play there by Andre Tolliver. The Big Ten, in a lot of ways, may have already played itself out of a seat at that 14 playoff. Dominating 52-14 win against Northern Illinois. Coming up next on ESPNU College Football Primetime, it is the New York Urban League Football Classic, Howard and Morgan State from MetLife Stadium. For everybody here in Fayetteville, good night.